Good morning again and welcome back to the GreenFleet Decarbonisation Hub here at the centre of the CV Show 2026. I'm delighted to be joined by one of our headline sponsors here on the GreenFleet Hub. Mike Anderson from Lex Autolease is here to talk to us about why they've got involved and how they are helping take forward decarbonisation. We're focusing on van fleets today, as you've heard, and we'll be talking more extensively about trucks tomorrow. So today we'd like to really look at some of the details and pick up, in particular, one of Lex's key customers who've targeted electrification of their van fleet over the next short while. I'm here with Siemens to talk about that, and indeed with Volteum to look at how data and analysis can really help drive this process. So, Mike, welcome to the GreenFleet Hub. Thank you for your support throughout, well, many years from Lex Autolease, but for you in particular today. Tell me a bit more about Lex. How many vehicles have you got that you're sort of responsible for? How many have you managed to electrify so far? And you know, what's taking us forward? What are Lex sort of working on?
Yeah, thanks, Andy, and it's a pleasure to be here. So Lex Autolease, we're part of Lloyd's Banking Group, so we're part of a massive organisation. We concentrate particularly in the corporate space, so looking after corporate businesses and public sector businesses from both fleet management and leasing services. We operate around about 165,000 vehicles on behalf of our customer base. Just above 70,000 of those are light commercial vehicles. I'm sure we'll get into a lot of this as we move forward. I think in terms of the electrification journey and the decarbonisation across that fleet, it'd be fair to say that the tax breaks that are available from a car perspective has really accelerated that journey, and I think we're around about 65–70% of full battery electric across that fleet. Is high numbers. The light commercial vehicle space, that's more challenging, definitely more challenging, and that's one of the things that we definitely see that we get reported back from our customers. It's how do they get on that journey? How do they make that transition? So from our perspective, we're really trying to do everything we can to educate customers, to make sure that they understand what the ZEV mandate, the zero emission vehicle mandate targets will mean to them, the timelines that are involved, and really try to work with our customers to provide them with the solutions so that they can make the right decisions for their business whilst maintaining operational efficiency and deliver what they need to deliver. So, we're really proud of the work that we've done. In terms of our light commercial vehicle fleet, we slightly bucked the trend in terms of the marketplace. So we're around about sort of 12–13% of our fleet is already electrified, which is slightly ahead of the market itself. A lot of that is down to our customers really wanting to get onto that journey. But our focus really is to provide them with the support, the information and the solutions that's going to enable them to get to where they need to get to.
Absolutely, thanks Mike. So we're here with Lee from Siemens. Now, I think most of us know Siemens as a supplier of all sorts of electrical equipment. I think I've got a dishwasher Siemens did or something, I don't know, but that's not what we're here to talk about. You're here from Siemens Fleet, and I hadn't realised you've got a fleet of what, 2,700 vehicles, is that right, Lee?
That's right, Andy, yes. 2,600 vehicles when I last checked, which was yesterday. So of that 2,600, 400 light commercial vehicles, mostly small and medium-sized vans, and then the rest 2,200 company cars. So yeah, quite a sizable fleet. So of that 165,000, we know we're in there somewhere.
Absolutely.
So it represents a challenge when you're looking at the electrification piece. We're doing very well on cars. We're well down the road in electrifying the fleet. About 65% of our fleet now is electrified. Wow. on passenger cars. Different story with vans. Less than 10% of our vans are electric, but that's our next challenge. So we're very comfortable where we're going with cars. We now need to press on, focus on vans, and it's exactly what we've been doing with working closely with our leasing partner Lex and with the guys at Volteum. It's that's the mission now, Andy. Yeah.
And what's the typical sort of van operation? Is it a mobile workshop? Is it out trunking up and down?
Yeah, mobile workshop, and we have a few crew vans. mostly engineers going to site. The majority of the vans are in in Siemens Mobility business division. So if you think about railways, construction sites, and so on, that's where those vans are typically being utilised. And they go home at night, Andy. So this is one of the challenges that we need to deal with. But so yeah, that's yeah. So Siemens Mobility, 3/4 of those 400 vans sit within that division.
So that's where our challenge comes. 400 vans, lots of different applications and operations, home charging, and I guess this is where Volteum really come in to help design, support a solution that does. So Csaba, you're here from Volteum. What does Volteum provide, and how can you help Lee with his challenge, and Mike assist Lee on the progress?
Thank you, Andy, and thank you for having us here. Volteum is a really proud supplier for Lex, and we provide solutions for all type of businesses electrifying their fleets. We provide software solutions for different challenges, and we are really enthusiastic about the challenge and to find the right solution. When it comes to Siemens, I think that's a perfect example where our platform provides the good foundation for making decisions, to have a plan well overthought, and supporting the company's vision of electrification and bringing it down to the reality of everyday operation. The platform is supporting the businesses for a longer term, because we believe that businesses need a support in this, not a kind of one-off solution, but they will go through a chain of decisions, and that chain will need to be supported through a platform, and that's what we provide. So Lee and Wayne and others at Siemens will go into the platform, and they will be able to see what's going on with the fleet, what's the next business case, what they will need to withdraw from the tool and bring it to the board and to sign it off. We are really proud of bringing this solution and going beyond. So probably I will talk about what happens after. So that's what we do at Volteum. We look at the challenge, and we look at the technology that can answer the challenge, and we bring it to life in a very agile way. And hopefully that's going to be supporting really Siemens as well as other Lex customers in providing a vision and then an action plan that is going to be implemented in a very smooth way, and they transition their fleet and decarbonize it all.
It's probably worth me coming in there, actually, because I think one of the things that we were really keen to work with Volteum around was that over many customer consultations and open forums with our customers, I think there was a huge need to try and give our customers real actionable plans to be able to get to where they need to get to. And one of the things that we were really excited about working with Volteum around was the use of real world journey data. Because I think that's the challenge that the people in Lee's position have. I think almost the vehicle is not so much of an issue, but it's who can utilize the vehicle's range and capacity to deliver what you need to deliver so that you're operationally efficient. And one of the things that we really enjoyed about what the Volteum solution does is it kind of takes in that real world information to provide that clear action plan for a customer, so they can really see their journey through from where they are today right the way up to 2030 and beyond. And I think that's been one of the really hugely valuable parts of both the solution and the key information that Siemens have been able to get hold of and use.
Absolutely. So I'm interested, what are the key inputs to Volteum? It sounds, I mean, telematics data, we're all familiar with telematics, and it's a fundamental tool in any operation, but it sounds like you need a really clear long-term objective. And is that something Siemens have set from the top?
Absolutely, Andy. Yes, you know, we're fully signed up and committed to the EV100 journey. So we're all sitting here now. We've been talking about this for a year, more than that. You know, we're now in that implementation phase. We've analysed all the data, we've strategized everything, we've gone out to the market and looked at what the best products out there for our requirements are. We now need to implement it. So part of that implementation phase is taking all that data that Csaba and the team have put together for us, and we can really see the user patterns of these vehicles, and we can really see the biggest distances they're doing. We can really see how they're being utilised day or night. We're surveying the drivers as well to see what they're actually, the kit they're actually carrying these days as well, because their user cases change as well, Andy. We have guys in vans that are no longer suitable for the role that they're doing. So this is a fantastic opportunity to re-engage with the driver community and say, right, your mileage is well within scope for an electric vehicle. Now let's find the right one for you. Do you need a small van, a medium van, or a big van? Do you need an all-wheel drive? Can you charge at home? Are you on the go charging? And so that's the bit now. That's where we're at now. And we couldn't have done that 12 months ago. Yes, we've got all that telematics data. We've got all the fuel card data. We've got all the van data from Lex, but we've not been able to put it all together to produce a really good analysis and individually, so that we can go to these guys and say, right, your time for renewal is now. Let's talk about what is the appropriate electric vehicle for you. So that's where we're at now, and we're actually going to go out to the first cohort of drivers this week. 41 drivers are going to get a survey. Can they home charge? Do they need to charge on the go? What's the kit weight? Do they really need all the racking that they used to have in a panel van? Can they downsize? Because great car-derived van solutions now that we're looking at. So it's a really healthy conversation to have, so that's where we're at.
Yeah, and I think you picked up with one of the other panels. One of the key things, and it's great that you're doing that, is engaging the drivers, the users. The guy at the coalface, guy or gal at the coalface, is critical in any change. I guess one of the questions I've got here, I mean, we all talk about telematics and we talk about, route planning. Is there a feedback, is there a bit that sort of says, well, actually, what you're doing at the moment, you could improve that operation almost before you put the electric in, there's this and this and this? I think there is, because you're already saying, do I need all that racking, do I need that van? But is that something that comes out from the Volteum as well?
Absolutely, 100%. That's one of the key points of using the software. Then this is something that can streamline the operation and tackle the most important questions. And this is what exactly we had the discussion about. Do you really need those functionalities? Because if you do, that's absolutely fine. These are your options then. If you don't, and if you streamline that, then you have more options, and then probably that's going to be better from a total cost of operation point of view. But going back to your question about the data as well, this is really critical, and this is where our solution provides an effortless answer. So this is where fleet and leasing companies, they don't have the time, or they shouldn't spend time on this, because the technology is there to solve these kind of concerns. So we usually, the way how I say that, we draw a picture about the fleet, and there are many data inputs, but the key point is that those data inputs will be either fragmented or probably it's not going to be available. We have solution for fleets even if they don't have telematics data, for example, which is often the case. We draw a picture, we have an algorithm that will draw that picture regardless of what input goes in, and of course we make it as precise as possible, but the picture will be drawn, and that's the key point. Based on the picture, then fleets and leasing companies can concentrate what really matters. And that's not about data crunching and assessment of that data. It's about the output. That's the key point here.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting is that we're talking about a long-term solution. We're not talking about, all right, I'm going to bung a load of electric vans in and then walk away and carry on doing what I do. How do you bake in innovation? I mean, over the time frames that you're talking about, the vans, I mean, over the last 5 years, the vans have changed fundamentally, as we know, and I can only imagine they're going to progress. The operation is shifting. How do you bake in that evolution into a long-term planning tool?
Yeah, so I'd probably say that what works today might not work next month or even next year, you know. So one of the things that we have within Lex Autolease that we support our customers with is a dedicated fleet engineering team. So one of my guys that works for me, a chap called Dave Pitt, he's actually here today, bobbing around, works extensively with the guys at Siemens, and that's about working with Lee and his team about keeping abreast of what the technology is doing. I'm sure we'll talk about car-derived vans and how that's evolving, because that's something relatively not new, but I think with these latest iteration of car-derived EV vans, I think it's could be a game changer in certain scenarios. So I think from a Lex Autolease perspective, it's making sure that we both understand the marketplace, that we've got the technical expertise, that we can work with our customers and consult with our customers to make sure that we're evolving and changing our advice based upon the changing in the marketplace, but also has our customers and their businesses develop. So I think someone like Dave is crucial to helping and supporting you.
I'll add to that, absolutely, Mike. Yeah, Dave, not only did we work with Dave and your engineering team, but also we also bring in the OEMs as well. So going back to that, the question around innovation, we manage those. Part of my day-to-day job as fleet manager at Siemens is to manage the OEM relationships. We're working with lots of brands, as you can imagine. Over the last 3-4 years, the landscape has completely changed. When we rolled out the initial EV ELCV product 4 years ago, we probably went a bit too soon because it wasn't really fit for the job. So you lose hearts and minds, don't you? So we have to go again. That's why we're doing it properly now with the help of these guys. We're making sure now that that next generation of ELC product is suitable, is fit for job, and then we identify using the output from the analysis is right. Those guys are they're in scope for an electric van. It's just which one, right? And how do they charge it? So that's where we're at. So, I think OEMs have moved forward with the product. We've got brilliant car-derived vans. We've got vans now coming up, nigh on 300-mile range. The data we've got, the analysis we've done, kind of takes the argument out of it now. Our colleagues at Drive Vans are very attached to their vans because, like I say, they're in them every day and they go home. So, there's hearts and minds to be won there. But it's a much easier job now than it was 4 years ago. So you can segue in here.
I wanted to jump on the technology piece. What innovation? What was the innovation, and how do we tackle? Two things mainly. In our tool, if there's a new product from an OEM that goes on, and that's one of the things that this is not a kind of one-off again. Because new brands and probably the existing brands with new products will provide different solutions. But the second thing is that in terms of the range, it's so important to get it right, because what you really don't want is to get a product in operation and will not do the job. So the way how we avoid this is our algorithm will define the exact specific range of an EV version to the job, which will really be precise. And sometimes when we review the result, the same electric vehicle will have a different range for different solutions or different products within the fleet, because the utilization is different. So when you look at, for example, the data was available, like WLTP is really good for comparison, but not good for, for basis of electrification. So that's where innovation comes in to get it right really precisely. So this is where our tool takes into account the everyday usage of the vehicles, how much, and then it will give a very precise picture. If you were shifting to electric, then how that would look like in terms of offers as well, what's the range, and how the operation will change. So you can anticipate those questions, so that won't be a surprise.
Okay, yeah. I mean, one of the things that, I've worked in the bus industry quite a bit and supported them, and obviously buses have electrified quite rapidly. And what we've seen is a move away from the traditional role of the fleet manager, who has to have his, have his hands over everything, new vehicles, new fuels, to being, right, I'm going to focus on the operation, and I've got a team who can provide me with the right vehicle for the job, another one that provides me with that vehicle charged and ready to roll, someone else is handling the electricity. Do you see that shifting? Is the fleet manager of today still the jack of all trades that he used to be, or can he focus on an operational fleet management?
I think, yes, we tend to be the jacks of all trades, don't we? But the role has changed, absolutely. My role is very strategic, but I spend a lot of time with the operations guys, the fleet administrators on the ground, because at the end of the day, they're the decision makers about the product and what's best for them. But yeah, well, there's a lot in the day-to-day, because we're also talking about things like, road risk and accident management. That all hits my desk, Andy.
Yeah.
But fortunately, when you have great partners like Lex and Volteum, you can pay me later, Mike. You then do have the, our fleet management outsourced to Lex works really well. We can depend on these guys. So it gives myself, it gives Head of Mobility Services, Wayne, the opportunity to focus in on the next part of the strategy. And it just happens to be, at the moment, commercial vehicles. But when I talk to you again in 2030, we'll be talking about something completely different, Andy.
Understood. I mean, I think it's a really important point. There's the job in any area is now so complex that you cannot do it all on your own that you used to be able. No one ever got fired for buying a diesel Transit, they say, but today maybe they would do.
And I think that one of the things that I'd say is that it's a collaborative effort, isn't it? It's about us making sure that we understand Siemens and their business, so that we can introduce the right partners to supplement what Lee is already doing, because you're effectively doing the same thing. So with the right partners in place and making sure that both we can introduce people that provide solutions to answer the questions that Lee and the team have got, but then work collaboratively right across the marketplace. So you've got all bases covered. And that's almost the skill of it, isn't it? It's about knowing who is the right person to support you in the moments that you need that support. So, we're really proud about working with Siemens to be able to do that. But, Lee, I'm sure, has got a black book of lots of other people just like us that do similar sort of roles and functions to support him. And I think that's where the skill of the fleet manager is these days. It's knowing who to call upon to get what you need.
One of the areas that I'm quite interested in, and we've spoken a bit earlier about things like the used EV fleet being a bit of a challenging area, but anecdotally again, I've heard that we're seeing people able to extend out their lease periods, and the vehicles are performing, for longer than, how is that affecting, you as the finance company? Are we now saying, well, actually, let's go for a 7-year on this rather than a 5-year? And do we bake in that long-term battery health and long-term range into our modelling? Because we're not talking about a 4-year program anymore. We're talking about a 15-year long-term strategic plan with a couple of replacement cycles.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we are seeing a trend of longer lease periods. Now, whether that's just a kind of reaction to cost of leasing, capital cost of a vehicle, and trying to spread that cost out over longer periods of time. Certainly what we've seen in certain applications, and in the data actually we've got, there's a number of vehicle use cases where actually electrification today is a bit more challenging. So, to a degree, what we're seeing with some customers is saying, let me get on with the stuff that I know will work, but let's either go again with diesel for this section of my fleet, or can we extend those leases out a little bit? So we are seeing some of that activity. I think, talk about the used market. I think that's really interesting. So as a finance company, typically we'll be taking the residual value risk on that vehicle. So what we rely on is there being a healthy used market for that asset at the end of its lease term. And at the moment, certainly with LCVs, when it comes to electrified LCVs, everyone's a bit unsure about that. We don't really know. So I think that will be feeding into the overall cost of leasing for first use cases when it comes to electric commercial vehicles. It's more expensive, let's face it. But, and this is the key, it's running the vehicle where you'll deliver your savings. And if you can get more drivers to charge at home, energy can be a lot cheaper. I think if you're 100% in the public network, then that's where the cost starts to ramp up. The more drivers you get charging via their home energy solution, the more cost efficiencies you can drive through the transition.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can imagine what the first question is on the driver survey, can't you? Can you charge at home?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of those longer lead times and the longevity of the vehicles, is that factored into how you plan?
Absolutely, and I was just going to say that extending the lease is probably one of the consequences or the outputs of running the assessment. Anticipating that is really key, to have a plan so that it doesn't come as a surprise for either a leasing company or for the fleet. But also I think it's key to understand the operation, and this is where we are really passionate about understanding the key challenges of the fleet, and we are looking at the operation as the especially for mixed fleets, because for a long time it's going to be mixed fleet, not only ICE, not only EV. We provide something really new, and we are excited to get it tested with as many customers as possible, where the information is in one place and it's going to be really actionable and easy to use. So that's, I think, the next challenge, the operation of this kind of complex environment where there are so many systems and many integrations, how we can make it easy, simple, yet handy. So that's our next big solution.
Excellent. So, I've got people here doing this job. The main reason for the Decarbonisation Hub is to try and help people who are looking at this journey as to where they should start. What's your sort of nugget of advice for a fleet manager starting his journey to electrification or indeed decarbonisation overall? Mike?
Yeah, so for me, I think it's look at your data. I think for me, around the range and the payload of the light commercial vehicles that are out there, actually, I don't think that's really the challenge. There is a piece around changing hearts and minds and getting drivers to buy in. And the data will prove that the use case, you can go forward with that. So I would absolutely say get good quality data, especially around journeys and mileage, to prove that these vehicles will work for you. I'd probably say the next thing, and we've not really touched upon this today, although I know Lee is really concentrating on this, how you sell that into your driver population, how you get your drivers to buy into an electric vehicle. We hear very often that once a driver goes into an EV commercial vehicle, they do not want to go back. And it's how do you make that experience the best it can possibly be, so that filters through the rest of the driver population. That will make a far easier transition. But one advice, data. Has to be data-led.
Absolutely. Lee?
Yeah, I'd add to that, Mike. I think to use the well-known strapline from Nike, just do it. Just crack on with it and bite-sized chunks. Every 6 months, look at what's coming up for renewal. Do the analysis. You've got the data. And deal with the greens and ambers. Don't worry about the reds. You can deal with the reds in 3 years' time. Go again on a shorter term lease. The market, the products in the market it's just getting better and better. So, to your point, we just get on and do the low-hanging fruit and the stuff that's a little bit challenged but can be done. And that's our strategy now. Yep. We're not afraid of it. We're very confident now. A year ago, it was a big mountain to climb, but things have in that last year. We're coming out of the starting blocks, very, very confident, and there'll be small sprints. 40 vehicles, 50 vehicles, 20 vehicles. Their problems, put them to one side, but start thinking about them now. Start talking to the OEMs about what's in pipeline that could solve that problem. But yeah, it's not as difficult as you think.
Excellent.
I would say two things. First of all, I would echo what Lee said about start it now, don't postpone. It's not getting easier just because you don't tackle it. The second is that you are not alone in this. Talk to people, and probably those who listen to this recorded video as well. They are open to get information, to get contacts, to share experience and knowledge. We talk to many fleets, and we are absolutely happy to share our experience. And then the same with Lex, and I'm sure he would be happy to share his own experience. We are in it together. That's the key point. And you know, sometimes we talk to some of our customers, and I say that I think you should talk to someone who I know very well, and he would be absolutely happy to share his own experience. And this is key because every single fleet will have its own challenge, but probably understanding how others did will help to have a clear understanding. And once you have the data, once you have a plan, then it becomes easier. Then it's going to be about the rollout, and you can focus on the remaining bits, which will be probably more challenging, but then you have a clear view of what actually you are going to do. And I think that's a good relief as well, once it's done.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm going to take away a few points here. That having a long-term plan is critical. So know where you're trying to get to. Don't try and get there in one jump. That's clearly the case. And like I find with this whole area of decarbonisation, it's a very, very collaborative nature. Everybody is there to help you. If you like, you know, climate change transcends competition. So we're all in this together. So thank you very much for sharing your journey so far on this. Look forward to meeting you again maybe next year and seeing how well you've got on, Lee. And
we've got lots of positive news to share.
Yeah. Mike, thanks very much. Lee and Csaba from Lex Autolease, Siemens and Volteum. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.